Hello, this video is on the hypersensitivity reactions in general. Hypersensitivity refers to undesirable reactions produced by normal immune system, what we call them as allergies or because of autoimmunity. There are three types of immune response what we speak about. One is called as the normal immune response, where in which there is a specific immune reactions against any pathogen which is invasive into the body. The second one, what we speak about is a low level of response, where in which uh, the tolerance, what we speak about, it's called poor response or low level response, what we call them as allergy. Whenever the antigen enters into the body, the immune system does not respond to the antigen. Instead, they tolerate the presence of the antigen. We call it as immune tolerance or low level response, or in other words, it's called as allergy. And the third level response is said to be the elevated or the high level response. What we call it as more sensitized state of immune system. We call it as hyper. Hyper refers to elevated, and sensitivity, the immune system reaction in an elevated manner. The overproduction of certain antibodies or abnormal antibodies are sometimes completely disorder type of immune response, what we call it as hypersensitivity. These reactions can be more damaging. It can cause a person uncomfortable, or occasionally it can even cause death as well. So when you speak about hypersensitivity, according to Coombs and Gell, it has been classified into four types. It's called type 1 hypersensitivity, which is called as atopic allergy, or it is otherwise called as anaphylaxis. Type 1 hypersensitivity falls under immediate type of hypersensitivity, which takes place within hours. So it is called as immediate type of hypersensitivity. And type 2 hypersensitivity is called as antibody-dependent cell-mediated cytotoxicity reaction. Normally, the cytotoxic reactions are not carried out by antibodies. Whenever antibodies are performing lytic mechanism, called as cytolytic mechanism, bringing in destruction of a cell, it's called as antibody-dependent cell-mediated cytotoxicity, just purely antibody-mediated reaction. And that is called as type 2 hypersensitivity. And type 2 hypersensitivity also involves antibody molecule, and it is also classified as an immediate type of hypersensitivity. The type 3 is said to be immune complex mediated hypersensitivity, wherein which antigen antibody immature complexes, which starts draining in the kidney, not able to filter properly, and it remains as an immature immune complex. And these immune complexes are drain through local lymph nodes, reach a lot of tissue spaces where the bone joints are there. So mostly joints are the most important tissue spaces that is available, and start settling down in the tissue spaces, sometimes in the nephron of the kidney also, causing immune complex mediated allergic reactions. So it's leading to inflammatory response, leading to swelling and pain in the joints where the tissue spaces is accumulated with a lot of immune complex. It is also an antibody mediated reaction. And more importantly, it is considered to be an immediate type of hypersensitivity. And the last type of hypersensitivity, what we call as type 4 hypersensitivity. It is a delayed type hypersensitivity when compared to all the other three. It takes place maximum after 48 to 72 hours. And this is a reaction which is not mediated by antibodies, but purely mediated by T cell response. Therefore, the first three types of hypersensitivity are very much closely associated with antibody-mediated reactions. And the last one, type 4, is said to be a cell-mediated reaction. So mostly we call that as contact dermatitis type, and leading to allergy of skin cells towards any chemical or metal allergy. So type 1 hypersensitivity, the term anaphylaxis was coined by Paul Richard, and which means altered reactivity. The type 1 hypersensitivity is an immediate type of hypersensitivity. This reaction may involve in skin what we call as urticaria and eczema are certain examples of type 1 hypersensitivity. Sometimes the redness in the eye, the conjunctivitis, is mainly caused by, and rhinitis, running nose, uh, related to nasopharyngeal region, and constriction of bronchopulmonary tissues, what we call as wheezing and asthma, and sometimes related to gastrointestinal tract leading to gastroenteritis. This reaction, type 1 hypersensitivity, may cause a range of symptoms from minor inconvenience, sometimes to fatal as well. The reaction usually takes within 15 to 30 minutes. An ant bite, a bee sting, normally, or a pollen entering into the eyes, and the exposure of the antigen, and it has an onset very quickly. The type 1 hypersensitivity is mainly mediated by IgE type of antibody to specific antigens. The IgE antibodies are said to be reagenic antibodies. Normally, there is a type of class switching that takes place with the help of an interleukin specifically. The primary cellular component in the hypersensitivity, in this type of hypersensitivity, is the mast cell or the base of it. The reaction is totally amplified and modified by platelets, then moving to neutrophils and eosinophils. The mast cells undergo binding of the IgE molecule because mast cell and basophil has got the specific Fc receptors of IgE molecule. So whenever there is a primary exposure to the pollen or any such allergen, these IgE molecules are being produced, and this antibody mainly binds to the Fc receptors present on the surface of mast cell at the mast cell and basophil. Whenever there is a second exposure of the same allergen, this primed cell, the primed basophil or the mast cell, undergoes degranulation and causes a release of vasoactive amine such as histamines. So this histamine is said to be a primary type of mediator, and there are other mediators called as prostaglandins, leukotrienes are also some important. So followed by histamine, there are certain cytokines also which are being released out, such as tumor necrosis factor alpha, interleukin-1. It's a fever-causing agent. It is an endogenous pyrogen, and interleukin-6. And they also attract the neutrophils to the site of inflammation. Neutrophils and eosinophils, and thereby, whenever there is more amounts of eosinophil accumulation, it leads to eosinophilia. And neutrophil is the first cell which participates in any of the inflammatory response. Following that, it also leads to the production of enzyme called as tryptase, chymase, and cathepsin. And these normally cause changes in the connective tissue and the tissue breakdown, and thereby leading to an allergic reaction. Allergic reaction, more importantly, leads to vasodilation, increased vascular permeability, and cellular infiltration. So the blood vessel dilates, and there is gushing of blood, and all the cells which are involved in the allergic reaction, especially the eosinophils and basophils, filtrate at the particular point, leading to redness, erythema, and swelling called as edema.